But I'm here. Ulrich is here.
Alright.
Boom, and the doc is here.
Dr. Surgeon. Hey.
How's everyone doing out there in these YouTube streets?
Like the freaking Men in Black.
Yeah, we are aligned today, gentlemen. We are aligned. The doc and I seems like every week it's just always the same. Like he has the black t-shirt on. I like that. Better than the white t-shirt. We had a little issue with the white t-shirt. I felt like 2007 was calling and saying, take off the white t-shirt. I want it back.
Cold as ice.
Cold. But Ulrich is here
Alright.
with one of my designs here. He's wearing one of my shirts.
Yes, you see, he thought gonna keep it a secret. He likes to put me in zesty ass outfits.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's the word I use for it.
These are things that I created throughout the years
To be
ago.
fair, a lot of times I come straight from work and I have a work shirt or something along those lines. And Elvis is always nice enough to have a little backup shirt, even though I look like a '90s like model, androgynous model. But
There's nothing androgynous about that shirt, sir. This shirt here is a play on a military shirt, and I was inspired by the V-neck of its time because back when I had this shirt made, it was the V-neck that American Apparel was doing. American Apparel was doing all these V-necks that were like plunging V-necks. So I wanted to create that with a military kind of style. So that's why I have the V-neck the way it is. You see the shoulder, the elbow pads. Show the elbow pads if you don't mind. Boom.
yeah, this episode,
Yeah.
this episode I might be just extra masculine because I'll be overcompensating.
So this goes up here. Yeah, there we
It's
go.
like a lean here.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at-
Boom.
this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the
See,
long
you
elbow.
want to show the extent of the ridiculous of this shirt. You want to show the extent of the ridiculousness that this shirt.
The shirt is not ridiculous, Ulrich. You look amazing in it. You're giving sexy cop. You're giving black, chocolate, military, but fashion. This is fashion. Fashion is an idea.
No, it looks like I'm. It looks
not
like
a
I'm
badge.
gonna jump
Yeah,
out.
take it.
It looks like I'm gonna jump out of a gigantic cake, alright? And then be like, you're under arrest, and and just start, yeah.
And when I did this shirt so many years ago, this shirt was actually a shirt that I did for my size. So this shirt is a little big on you because it was made for an extra large, not the large that you are. But I think it looks
Gotcha.
great despite that.
But thank you. I still appreciate you, Elvis.
Right here, how was you guys' week?
He's good.
Good week? Are you helping the collapsed faces of the world?
Yeah.
I say that respectfully. But this guy here, he's the Botox guy for the 2023, and he started his own telemedicine business. So the whole concept of needing an office and the approval of a hospital, those days are over. He did an amazing paper 20 years ago about that. Trying to tell maybe you tell a little bit about that paper.
It's a long time ago. We were just talking about this. This is where we was going headed. We kind of remember we were talking about. I was saying that sometime like maybe about 5 years ago about doing the telemedicine.
Yes.
Even before, and it was ironic when the whole pandemic came along and stuff like that. They started to really push that. That really started to make a wave. But at the time I was talking about it, insurance companies just started using nurses in their system and having their insured call the insurance company to say, hey, I have a call, what do you think? But at that time I was talking about, trying to actually see clients and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And then
Here we are.
what the paper I was talking about was the one that you did in the 90s where you were talking about how the doctors need to learn business.
oh yeah, well
Because
that's always
the-
been an issue.
Yeah, because the hospitals are locking the doctors in as soon as they get out of school, and never the doctor doesn't get to learn anything about business because and properly billing the client. So he had
But that's the thing. That's what you create systems and you create work and jobs that way because the person that would do it, if they don't know how to do it, then you have to have a whole separate department for billing and stuff like that and so on and so forth. And that's what you have now.
right. It's a scam to keep the doctors pretty dumb and feeling insecure about opening up their own practice. The hospitals have figured out a way to keep fear. I tell you, fear is a commodity, man.
Ironically enough, what people won't know, long time ago, that hospital doctor that currently now, a lot of, junior doctors that's in residencies and things like that are being sold on to get this hospital job. What they don't know is, in the time of the past, the hospital doctor was the failure. The hospital doctor was the doctor that didn't have the people skills, wasn't the doctor that did well enough that could hang his shingle outside and garner a clientele, a patient base from the population of the community. So they were forced to go work at the hospital where the people didn't have a choice. They were hurt, so you just had to go. And they didn't have a choice. And they didn't have picking of the doctors, you just had to see whoever was there. So back then.
Yeah, but so you're unionized officially, is that fair to say?
No, doctors are not unionized. Matter of fact, to let the doctors kind of really feel about it, their profession's not something you could unionize, because the idea is still very individualistic. Even the fact that hospitals, hospital doctors and so on and so forth, where they would use their numbers and power and be unionized and stuff like that, but it's one of those things that almost feel like it's beneath their profession to kind of unionize. But
so wait, let me clarify. So when a doctor gets out, they get out of they pass their MCATs, right? And they graduate. Are they part of their union that they have to pay dues to, or they're independent contractor where they can pick their country and they can pick who they're loyal to? That's what I never understood that.
So Ulrich said something, so I'm just going to try to put it into sequence. He mentioned MCAT. So MCAT is the test that you take so you could see if you get into medical school.
Gotcha.
So at this point, you're a student, graduated college, you did your thing, and so you got your bachelor's degree or master's degree, and now you study to take this MCAT. You take this MCAT, and if your score is good enough, then you can try to apply to medical school. Then you get into medical school, so that's 4 years, and you're there, and once you're done, then you pick which area you want to work in, and which is your residency. So that's when you're going to pick something and go into a hospital anywhere between 3 and 8 years to do whatever your discipline is. During that time, you're working on, this is where the doctor's a doctor, but they get paid very little.
Wait, so at this point, you're not beholden to any union. You're only beholden to the place that you work for?
Yes.
You don't pay dues to any specific...
No. And once you finish with residency and you go fellowship and you're done with that and you out in the field working, you still don't belong to a union. Even when you get out, you decide to open your own practice, you're not part of a union, obviously. If you go work for a hospital, you're not part of a union, necessarily. There are some physician unions, but they are very few and far in between.
Okay.
So it's not a profession that's typically unionized.
Gotcha.
In most cases. But what we're really getting to is that, not necessarily now, but back then, the doctor that decided to work in the hospital was the failure. That's the guy that wasn't able to make it out in the community on his own.
No people skills.
No people skills.
People
or whatever.
hated him.
And also, back then was a bit more known about how smart you were and where you graduated from. So in other words, if you were the person that graduated last in the class, you'd probably end up at the hospital. Okay.
Damn.
So,
Never knew about that.
so these are kind of like some of the subtle things. So, when we had that conversation, now it's gotten to the point where they popularize it so much that further insecurities are led onto the doctor because they lost all that skill. So what I'm going to do if I'm going to open up my first practice? I know medicine, but how do I open up a practice? And how do I set it up? And the budgeting and all that type of stuff, the equipment, So all these things are going to be part of play. And then how do I get myself paid by the whole billing codes and stuff? So none of that stuff is really, taught.
They don't teach that. They're not going to teach you any of that. And I remember you being like, we're dealing with so much money. And can I just say this? I remember one time you were very frustrated about something. And you were just like, my whole career, I could make $15 million. But the hospital would have made $1 billion off of me. Like, that's what the complaints of Michael Jackson. We got a doctor who's having the same complaints. Like, wait a minute. They're not teaching us billing. Do you understand how much one night stay in a hospital costs?
Yeah, but isn't that the saying? I actually heard this on the Mo Facts episode. This is a great quote, and they said if someone offers you $2 million, you're probably worth $4 million, right? So whatever the doctor, whatever like whatever they're making off you, like making $1 billion off you, they're definitely gonna
That might be stretching the
yeah,
billions.
yeah, but still,
I'm
they're
just
probably
making
gonna undersell you. They're probably gonna, you know.
Yeah, but that's not a. If you're making 15 million and you're 79 years old, 80 years old, they've made quadruple the amount of money on you, and they use your name in advertising.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they do. That's a that's
Yeah,
why the
they will.
contract is signed.
Go ahead and save those babies. They will let the world know you the one that saved those babies in their hospital. And you might never be back at the hospital ever again. But they're gonna have a whole, and then he would have to pay to put his name on the hospital. The hospital ain't gonna put his name up there. They'll advertise for him. But if you want a wing in your name, he's gonna have to then donate to the hospital to get them to put the money in.
Unless
Am I
his name
wrong?
had some
Am I
kind,
wrong
no,
on that?
unless his name
No,
had
not
some kind of
necessarily.
pull or
No,
balance.
Yeah.
If his name had some kind of pull, they probably asked. They'd probably be begging him to put his name up.
Yeah, but the problem is they got the people that ain't no good. Their name is up there.
But now what we got going on is it kind of like flipped itself
Sorry.
around because the hospitals are pushing themselves now. So folks don't recognize individual doctors and build relationship with individual doctors. People are getting themselves associated with institutions. So in
Right.
other words, I don't want to go to that hospital. I will go to, Weill Cornell.
let's not even say anything.
I don't even want
Let's
to
not
say,
even say
that is not, that's just the name that came to mind. Trust me.
Has
So-
that always been that way in your practice, or has that changed with how insurance has changed with like Affordable Care Act, or that's always been that way?
What do you mean?
Has it always been the way where the hospital's about themselves and it's not about the doc?
No, so one step further behind that, before the doctors were in the hospital like that, the hospital was like just a hotel for sick people. And they were advertising to doctors like a hotel advertised to you. We have a wonderful facility here. We have great nurses that's going to take great care of your patients and so on and so forth.
Right.
So then me as a doctor, you know what? This place is okay. It's not too bad. You know what? And I have my patient that comes to my office and like, you know what? We need to have you in the hospital for a couple of days. Let's take you out, go over there, check in there. So by the time you go over there, the grand reception for your patients because they want to impress you, impress your patients. They go in there, the nurses are very, attentive to your patients. So, but that's where some of the rudeness of doctors came along. That bravado of doctors, because I'm coming over here, giving you a paycheck, giving you some business. I want things to be done the way I want them to be done. So then sometimes maybe they got a little bit more mouthy with the nurses, whatever, so on and so forth.
You're saying doctors are generally and normally rude to their understaff, like the nurses, people they have to be super.
No. What I'm trying to say is there's this perception that doctors are rude to their understaffed and nurses.
I didn't know that.
There's this perception. And the thing is, I'm saying the birth of that amongst some doctors was that association. That, I'm sending my patient to this hospital or this hotel to be treated a certain type of way. I gave these orders. I want these things to be followed. Okay. And this is what you guys sell yourselves on doing a good job of. So why did I come over here and this person, you didn't take the blood yet? Why didn't this and so on and so forth? What's going, and they raise hell and because it's like. So
do the doctors normally get angry, classically get more upset or more animated when they're dealing with some kind of a subordinate or
No, I don't think so.
Where does the reputation come from? In other words, are doctors just more generally cold?
No,
No,
can
I
I
don't
say
think so.
something?
I don't think so.
It's like this. The hospitals used to pine for the physicians. And a lot of these physicians became very arrogant about these hospitals. Like the physicians were like let's say you're what's this guy? He lived in Brooklyn. He's a fictitious guy. You're Theodore Huxtable. You're the Huxtable guy, right? You're married to an attorney, and you're the Huxtable guy, and you have all your women clients come see you, but once they're gonna give birth, you meet them at the hospital. And now Theodore Huxtable is getting real cocky, like, yo, I go to the other one over there. I go to Presbyterian,
I'll tell everybody go over there
I'll
instead.
tell everybody go over there instead. So the doctor's saying the hospital's like, we don't need that anymore. We don't want that anymore. So they changed it where they slowly convinced the person getting out of school, becoming a doctor, that you no longer need to have your own profession. We're gonna celebrate the hospital, not the doctor.
And this is what we're going to.
So they no more pining for doctors. The hospitals are not pining for the doctors. Maybe Dr. Oz, I know he's supposed to be, does heart surgery to this day.
So there's a conversation I have with physicians, with younger physicians and stuff like that, and trying to have them in.
Tell them to think business,
Yeah.
business. You see, this is one of the reasons why we're going to critique this valuetainment show, because this is a show that is a business show. This is a show that has, and it's a network, because we have a guy here who's bringing people onto his network, and they're talking about, one of the guys is talking about love and money, and they have the interview sections of the show. So many different things are happening where regular people are creating networks on YouTube and this internet thing. So we're going to use this. And we're going to talk about the clip. We're going to get into it now. We appreciate you guys, listening to us and what we had to say, and some of the Doc's gripes. Rick rocking a shirt that I made 15 years ago, when I was making shirts and doing things like that. And we're ready.
Good plans for a spread.
Now for a few months.
See, the doctor's cold. He said this capacity is a scrub. See how he knows from down below?
Very hard for you to do. Andrew
Keep
Terry,
playing,
it's important to see this, when you watch this clip of what he said the other day. By the way, when he said this, I retweeted this yesterday, and I said, it's obvious. I'm telling you right now, I'm convinced Don Lemon is obsessed and in love with Andrew Tate and watches non-stop videos and clips of. The only reason you would say something like this is because you watch certain clips of. Go ahead and play this clip real quick. See what he said. He got in trouble for it.
Oh, talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down.
Well,
She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered being in her prime, 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking about?
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. It's just like prime. If you look it up, it'll say, if you Google when's the woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s, so I got it in
I'm
another
not saying I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians are in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like child porn, or are you talking about
That's
prime
I'm
for
just
being
saying what the
president?
facts are. Google it. Everybody at home.
Google it.
I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime and they need to be in their prime when they serve people.
Is that, by the way, if that was Whoopi Goldberg on his left, at this 5 seconds ago in this clip, he would have been shot on camera.
Wait, do you notice something? Two things. First, he goes, I don't want to go down that road. You know what he did? He went down that road. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, folks.
Fell down the stairs.
But what? You see, like, this is his sassiness. He's like, that was him. That's how he actually feels. At the same token, he's a hardcore leftist. That's throwing the jab to let people know. But he shouldn't be running.
Here's a question, though.
Yeah.
Is he truly a hardcore leftist, or has he been spending too much time with hardcore leftists? Words have power.
Is he a hardcore leftist? Or is he spending too much time with hardcore leftists?
Don Lemon? Don Lemon is the most lefty, every
So
checkpoint.
no excuses for Don Lemon.
Every checkpoint of a left stereotype, Don Lemon hits every single aspect, including the childhood trauma that he uses in order to try to bolster like his story and say why he's a crusader against certain things. He got everything.
It's
Go ahead.
great. You know what? I used to actually be angered by some of these guys, the Don Lemons and them and stuff like that. But now I actually sympathize, and I'm actually going to be a Don Lemon sympathizer. And that, is he a hardcore leftist? I'll say no. But what I will say is that he's bought and sold. With the amount of money he's making, he could have been on the Republican side saying the exact same crap to support the Republican agenda or rightist agenda. These guys are bought and sold, and by the time he drunk so much of the Kool-Aid, that just becomes his talking point. And every once in a while they gotta spank him because he went too far. But it's the money talking. This guy make like what, 5-6 million? He'd say anything.
Yeah. Now, Doc,
Anything will come out of his mouth.
I
That's
agree
all
with
he
you.
makes is 5-6 mil.
I don't know. I'm just
No, I think he
thinking.
makes a lot more. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you with the bought and sold thing. But to say his talking points, he cannot bring his talking points over to the right, and it kind of mesh.
No, I'm
Even
just saying that he'd have a whole new set of talking points with the right money.
I do believe he's bought and sold, though. I believe he's bought and sold, though.
He just who got
So
the first.
if you're bought and sold, then that means you'll say whatever.
No, I don't think his value would work the same. His value wouldn't work the same if he sold his services over to the right.
No.
He wouldn't
Now,
be taking
I mean, once you go down the road, you got to stay down that
that's
road.
my
You can't
point, yeah.
flip. But if they caught him at the right time, he would have,
Right.
I don't know about that. That I don't know about. But yeah.
he would have been.
Yeah.
Who's one of those folks on the right that talks? He could have. She showing
Influence has power. Tom shared a clip the other day with me. I'm going to show you guys here in a second. What is your reaction, Yomi, when you hear he says what he says, that Nikki Haley is past her prime, while Hillary Clinton's in her 70s thinking about running, while Kamala Harris is older than Nikki Haley? What do you think about when you hear that comment he makes?
I think he just.
I don't really want to hear what everyone
Yeah.
has to say. He asks a really great question. What do you think about that whole concept of this woman being in her 50s, being, not fit to run, or whatever it was that Don said?
I think there's a lot of things you can't be fit in your 50s, like becoming a first-time mother. But I think running for politics is probably not one of them. So I do this. You can be as old as night and run for politics, because politics is more of your image and what you portray and what you can regurgitate. It's not so much about how spry you are.
Right.
Look at our president. But
See, this is my cynicalness when I hear stuff like this, and then it becomes a thing that kind of makes its way around the way. So now we've had an 80-year-old, a 70-year-old president. This guy, Don Lemon, been doing this for a while. He can't possibly be talking about primeness in a certain type of way, just like we talked about Hillary Clinton and some other folks who are way past that age. So either the stuff is taken out of context or whatever, because he
So
can't
glad you said what you just said.
that just don't really make no sense. Or he's such a hater of the right, he's gonna try to use
but
idiots.
that's exactly what it is.
But
That's
it makes,
exactly
but it
what
makes
it
no
is.
point. But it makes no, but it makes no sense.
It's the same way he's against body shaming, but
It's
he was
like
the first person to talk
hypocritical.
about Donald Trump's physique and his body. Now he's
Right.
It has nothing to do with any talking about a crime. It has his overwhelming hatred to the right.
But what you want to call that? The person that does that is the supreme. Is coon the wrong word to use at this point? But it's like a person that's so influenced by the cash. It's like they'll even make points that doesn't even make no sense.
Cool. All right. I don't know about. Listen, the coon. I don't like that coon word, man.
Well, wait. Who said coon? Doc, you said coon? I've
Did I
never
say-
heard you say the word coon in my
I never
life.
used it.
What you just say just now?
No, I did say that just now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying,
he
I never-
just said
but it's
that.
not
Yeah,
right.
he said that. All right,
I'm saying,
he said
I'm
that.
saying, is that
Don't
the
say
word?
that. You just
No, I'm asking, is that the word that you
You're
use?
gaslighting me.
I'm saying, is that the word I want to use? Because I know the word, but
I've never heard you use that word. Tell me again. Maybe I was distracted. What did you say?
No, I'm wondering. Like, in other words, the behavior is the type of behavior that you'd expect from a person like that. Where
Okay, I
you're
hear
not
where you're
even
coming
make
from.
like, in other words, you're going to make an argument for something that don't even make no sense. You're just so much on the side that you're gonna say something completely.
Yeah, but this is a man. Don Lemon is a
Is
man
it
who's
is it
unprincipled.
cooning is the
Yeah.
question.
So it's like for the left.
Wait, no, you can't coon. You can't
I-
coon for one side of the. You can't coon for one side of the aisle. Because if you're compromising your principles, if your principles align completely with the left or the right, you're fake.
What I'm talking
But
about
if you can't, so you can't coon for the. I don't think you can.
No.
coon for
No. It's not about the topics. It's about what you're trying to stand for. So in other words, he was completely okay with Hillary and all these other folks of high age running for the office. I had no problem with them. But he remained silent on that if he really felt that way. And now all of a sudden, it's an argument he's using to try to tell somebody.
Yeah, but
down.
hypocrisy and witchcraft, that's his language. That's how they talk.
And I'm saying, is that,
Can I say something,
That's
guys?
his language. It's not
Gentlemen.
cooning, it's him. That's who he is. He's
Listen,
not
you
trying
see,
to
I
be...
think you're mistaken with that's not who he is. That's who he's being. Why? Because he read it from the teleprompter.
Someone who's
That's not his
malleable.
own idea.
If you're malleable, that's who you are.
Listen to me.
If you change with the
Hold it.
tide, that's who you are.
Ulrich,
Ulrich, guys,
keep
let me
in touch,
finish my
that's who
thought,
you are.
guys.
All these
Very
folks.
few people have a
Don't
personality.
overtalk
All right,
the
go
host.
ahead.
Come on.
Go
Come on,
ahead.
come on, come on. Okay, I'm the host here. This is Ulrich. This is Doc, the surgeon, the people's doctor, and they're not friends. Okay? They're my friends.
Doc, you getting a drink later?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not happening. That's not happening. So now, my thought is this. Okay. And I am your host, Big Elvis the Chef Rosenberg. And let me also say this, that I, from the very beginning, when I saw this, I knew it was a setup in my mind. I don't have an opinion on Don Lemon. I don't look at him as the black person that's acting a certain way is where the coonish will come in. Because you need that buffoon, so to speak. And Don Lemon would be a buffoon by even thinking this is a point to even raise. This is why he read it from the teleprompter. He read it from the that was not his words. Him backtracking and feeling uncomfortable was what you saw was an amazing actor. He's an actor. He's reading from the teleprompter. He is getting pushed out. They're pushing what appears to be everyone that was around during this time in our lives with the COVID. All those people that fought for you to do this, take the shot, for you to go to the hospital. First it started with Cuomo. Ventilators, where's the ventilators? And then we see a picture and there's like 1,000 ventilators up against the wall, every hospital. And now he was out, and that was over a woman that felt uncomfortable. And then he even tried to bring out a video where he's kissing everybody. Look at me, I just kiss everybody. I'm a nice guy, forget about it. Like it was the worst fight for your job that I've ever seen in my life. And then we got Don. Oh, no, then it was Chris. It was who was it first? Chris Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo. First was Andrew. Then it was Chris. Now it's Don. And whoever was involved in the media during this COVID thing, my theory for the future for 2023 is they're getting rid of all of those people. They're gonna all be replaced with new faces, new ideas. They're gonna try to get this COVID thing in the background. Because
Say for example, if they do that for the public, and if in private they probably having these type of conversation, they might be one of those folks that they get rid of, you know. And the thing is, he initially had a primetime slot, then they tried to change it, and now we have this stuff going on.
You're talking about Don Lemon.
So,
well, I know they gave him the week off. After this happened, they gave him the week off. They all the day or two off.
All right, but I disagree with the notion that Don Lemon is an actor, because even though I disagree that he's an actor,
right?
The reason I don't think he's an actor, I think he knows what he spews, and a lot of what his insults are directed at one side. I think he knows that what he's saying is leaning in one way. I know what he's saying. I think
really
he even
cool.
I think he's
I like that
aware
about you, Ulrich.
No,
That's what you see. I wish you weren't
Well,
like me, jaded.
patronize
I'm not
me.
patronizing
Listen,
you.
no,
I'm
no,
really
no,
like
he-
that.
no.
That you think this is an individual.
No. When I say he's
has-
an individual, he's an individual in the. I think he believes that he's doing something like I think he thinks he's part of a team. I think he thinks he's a made man and he's part of the mob. So he's going along with what the mob does because he thinks he has some specialty with the mob. He knows he's lying when he's speaking.
You know what?
But he thinks he's doing it. He thinks he's doing it in conjunction with the family.
Okay.
He doesn't know that he's not part of the family.
We're gonna move on.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense what you're saying, and I'm not patronizing you when I say that I think it's fucking great that you look at this man and you see an individual to some degree who's hateful to a certain group and is going to do these things, and these are like Freudian slips of a fucking of a horrible person. I get that.
No, wait. But John Lennon has some license to be. No, Don Lemon within that group has some license to be crazy. During New Year's Eve, he got like drunk.
I remember that.
He got turned up, and it was
Talking
a whole,
about he wishes he was in love and he can't find no girl and all that. Yeah,
like, that's part of he sold that part of that his outlandish. Now it's shocking that he got fired from this
I don't know if he's
I-
fired yet. I think they suspended him for a couple of days or something.
Oh,
All right, let's
so-
let's
all
let's
right,
continue
go
with the show.
Oh, no, I just gotta
I have
say
some
this.
more
I
to
just-
say.
just-
Let me just say this. I also have more to say about this,
Okay.
but I'm holding it and waiting. Can you wait while we press play on this?
No,
or
we,
you want to get?
no,
yeah,
they,
yeah.
the thing I'm
I'm
just getting ready to
listening,
say
I'm
is just that
I'm listening up.
let's not lose our way. And we're talking about this guy being actor and so on and so forth. All these folks that's getting this type of, these are not reporters. These folks are not on. They at some point these try to convince you they're out there beating the pavement and trying to get stories and stuff like that.
Journalists.
These are not journalists. These are actors. This is what these folks are. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it
Can you
there.
put
And
that
stuff
on
like
fire,
that.
please?
Dad, you got a Boulay phone?
What you said? Yeah.
Please never apologize to Nikki Haley. He's in Miami right now. If people
With his husband.
yeah. And go ahead. So
Yeah, well, I
She's
think
gay.
100%.
She's gay.
Oh yeah, not Adam. That's not my boyfriend. Yeah, no, anymore.
I have no
So-
idea.
Who's gay?
Here's what's happening. You ever see like one of those like scary movies, and they're like, "Where's it coming from?" And it's like, the call's coming from inside the house. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. On their morning show, two women in their 40s, nonetheless. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, you old broads!" Yeah. I'm like, wow, what just happened here? The call just came from inside the studio. So what he's conflating, and this is just clearly he just Googled Prime. He's conflating two things: a woman's sexual market value with her actual market value. And there's two completely separate things. He's correct that a woman's sexual market value is, let's just say, 40 and below.
What does that
Closer-
mean?
Sexual market value is when most men are attracted to women. It's usually in their mid-20s, give or take. That's a sexual market value, okay? Whereas a man reaches his sexual market value typically in his late 30s, typically. So women, they're beauty objects, where men are success objects. That's what comes down to the sexual market value. What he's conflating again is sexual market value with market value. You could be a hell of a governor or a businesswoman or an entrepreneur or anything well into your 40s, 50s, 60s. I mean, whether you like Hillary Clinton or not, she was a capable politician, let's just put it at that. So Nikki Haley, who's in her 50s, market value is arguably at its highest it's ever been.
Right.
Whereas her sexual market value might not be that high right now. So I think Don Lemon is just trying to make a point, and his foot is so far in his freaking mouth right now that it's just like, vacation Miami, bye, I'm out.
Here's what I want you to watch. I want you to watch this. This is the old Don Lemon when he first got into media, and not first. This is not that old, just so you guys know. This is like 10 years ago. But listen to how Don Lemon spoke just 10 years ago.
You say the old, I think this is the real.
Yeah.
As black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point? Number 4 now is the N-word. By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the master intended, acting like a nigger? Now, number 3.
Jesus.
Respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English. A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number one, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one or getting married first. More than 72% of children in the African American community are born.
Imagine this is Don Lemon.
wedlock.
I'm shocked.
That
Listen.
means absent fathers.
No, keep playing.
And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues.
Are you kidding me?
Could I ask you a question about what changes? My question from that guy.
I think this is
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
What happened?
By the way, look at her face.
Yeah.
You see why? You see why I wanted to like go to this podcast opposed to just breaking it up, because we wanted to originally talk about the 5 things that Don Lemon said that, you know, a lot of people agree. I know Joe Brown, he has this whole Man Up campaign that he's been spending millions of dollars just to try to promote, and it's about lifting up your pants, but that's impossible. You can't do that, and to say that lifting up your pants is a hood thing is, to me, absurd and absolutely ridiculous. What say you, Ulrich, about the pants and the pants sagging and what Don had to say?
All right, let me start. Well, the pants sagging thing. All right, let me talk from 32-year-old Ulrich. 32-year-old Ulrich thinks that you look silly and as stupid as you look stupid as all can.
Also,
Yeah.
Ulrich is an educator, so he's
Yeah.
around a lot of kids.
Yeah, so this is 32-year-old Ulrich, and it makes you look like kind of like soft with you, because you walk all stupid. You don't even walk with a certain swag. You just walk like you're uncomfortable. So that's the thing. Now that being said, I was 14 once, and there was a time where I allowed my pants to sag slightly. There was a time where I did that, because the main reason I did it is because all the guys that were doing it got women. So that was it. So anything I like projected was noticing that gets you women. So I associated pants sagging with getting women, which is odd.
That's actually not odd. That's pretty.
Yeah. Odd when you think about in and of itself. I mean, in a vacuum, that's odd. In a vacuum, but like given context, it's not that odd. But so there was a time where I think he's talking to black adults and he's talking to black children. I don't think his message. I don't think his message would serve black adults. But I also don't even know that his message would serve black teenager, black children, because there's a certain fad you enter, and there's a certain, based on your principles and based on what you learned and based on your personal growth, you're gonna either move past it. Like at a certain point, I thought like saggy. I wasn't trying to deal with the girls that were okay with the guy who had saggy pants.
When did that change? When did that start?
Not that didn't last. The saggy pants lasted maybe to maybe from like freshman year, and I had some little gaps.
Freshman year, we're
freshman
talking
year in high
ninth grade.
school, freshman year in 9th grade to senior. Senior year, I wasn't about.
Only 4 years
Yeah,
of
senior
the most important years of your life.
Yeah, but,
you sagged.
But but at a certain point, I realized the population that I was trying to deal with, and when I say the population, I mean
When you lived in the hood.
When you
lived in the hood, you were sagging, and when you went to college and you were around.
First of all, in my entire life, hood girls have almost never been interested in me. My entire life.
Right.
So that was it. So whatever
So it wasn't the hood girls. You was just looking for the girls who liked you. You were sagging, but they were never hood girls.
Yeah. So, but
Right.
but so it wasn't just the kind of the hood. I don't want to say hood. I don't like the word hood. Chicks. I mean, you saying hood, I think what you mean is kind of ditzy. You ditzy and use colloquialisms like you would hear in urban areas.
Well, they have more Jordans than they do. This is a hood chick.
Racist.
A hood chick has more sneakers than she has shoes. That's to me a hood chick. A hood chick has more sneakers than she does shoes. And she thinks it's a right to say the word bro
No,
to
all right. My
to
only
her female
definition,
friends.
my only definition of a hood chick, I think personally, from me, anytime I said anything that makes sense, I'd be insulted for it. That's what it is. Like if I said something relevant or made sense, I'd be insulted somehow, or said that's my definition of hood chick.
Alright.
Because from I guess quote
No,
unquote,
I'm with you.
constantly
I
roasted.
get your point. What you're saying, Doc, pants sagging.
Sorry. I went.
You know, the more I kind of hear, some of these things, I realize a big mistake that happens like over and over again. The clip itself, because we've covered all this stuff up until now, this clip itself is, just kind of like showed, that he was supposed to represent, this, black school teacher that's going to, but at the same time embarrasses the whole group as a general.
He was the lean on me black guy from the movie.
And then,
You smoke crack, don't you?
because how many black, I mean, not to say that black folks don't watch CNN, but that message goes out to who sees that more so. What's the audience that sees that more? It's not the folks he's giving it to. So it's painting a picture of this group of folks and stuff like that. So now we know that's in the community. But do we say most men or most kids wear their pants sagging or normal? So we create this whole vision of this group of folks only for a few percentages of young boys that sag their pants.
Right.
They don't make the majority.
Yeah, my
By
thing
no
is,
means.
why would this huge news outlet discuss this
silly shit
to their audience and have people think that we need Don Lemon
Just
to be the teacher, the teacher with the blow on and lean on me. Whatever his name was, I can't remember who the actor was right now.
It was Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman.
No, but Don Lemon is a test case. Don Lemon is Don Lemon is the sacrifice. He's the one who can go out here. That's why he's always saying something slightly off color than them. He's always saying something just slightly different. Like the last thing he said about black people being raised without a man in the house. That's not a classic or normal talking point for the left. That's a normal talking point for the right, especially the black
They
people.
give him
on the
enough
right.
cash. Is what I think. But
Can
what
I
else-
say something?
Well,
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
What are you gonna say?
No,
Can you
no,
say?
so
I ain't gonna forget.
that first part was so that was kind of like just the whole thing with the show, but the whole thing about as I kind of look at this and talk about the very action of your pants sagging and stuff like that, what we're missing, even from these great books that we like and stuff like that, and I'm talking about like our religious work, Quran, Bible, and so on and so forth. They were giving folks actions to do. But the thing is, those actions went hand in hand with a certain level of understanding about yourself. So without the understanding, you could face east and pray 5 times, but that don't mean nothing if you don't understand what you're really trying to do. So you could do this thing you call baptism, but what is that supposed to be? What are you really trying? Are you just dunking yourself in the water coming back out, or are you really renewing your mind? So that symbolism represented something. The action didn't do it. Pulling up your pants, fine, we need to do that. But those same kids that pull up their pants, they still gonna be whatever they were.
No, all right, I disagree with that.
Okay,
Sorry.
wait,
I'm with you, Doc.
okay.
I'm with you, man. I agree with
He's
that.
gonna get in a second.
No,
but
no.
so the thing about it is, if we had the kid understand, the pants would naturally come up. You wouldn't have to talk about pulling your pants up. If he had to understand where we're at, the pants would come up. So I'm saying the actions themselves don't solve the problem. Just like now, we're speaking to the action. The Bible and the Quran talk to the action, but folks are they're getting dunked left and right now, all day.
But that's an internal. That's a personal. The promises you make with God that's just supposed to be individual. It's not supposed to be presented regardless. And just you being baptized is just a habit, and it is it
What does
just
it represent?
accounts to you being reborn.
But what
And
does that mean?
But what it means to be reborn is it's making a vow that I'm gonna from this day on I'm gonna promise to live for this particular way, these particular principles. That doesn't mean that you do it, but there is a point. There is a point to it. Now I see what your point. I think the point you're trying to make is the pants sagging has no actual point, but that's what the pants is that's a fashion. That's like a fashion thing. There's no utility to anything that has to do with fashion. Just like these shoulder pads. There's no utility. Anything that has to do with fashion is a trend, and it's a copy. It has nothing to do with principle. Baptism is a baptism. No. If you pants sagging to baptism, that's a little blasphemous.
No.
I don't like that. That's
Because it needs to make sense.
That's
what makes sense. The majority of folks who get baptized now, get dunked in the water, come back out to symbolize this thing. They do not have a renewed mind. They're the same person they was the day before.
Yeah,
they got
your
baptized.
renewed mind is based
Like
on
liposuction.
the individual.
Right.
After
What
5
you do is
years,
based on the
you're fat
individual.
again.
Right.
Baptism is not a magic trick. Baptism is
No.
not. So
You have to do the work.
that's a point. A renewed mind is based on the individual. So just because the habit of baptism people don't follow through. The reason people don't follow through is because it's hard to. It's hard if you have specific habits. It's hard to just absolve those habits. It has nothing to do that they don't believe what they're doing when they're baptizing. It's saying that they don't have the strength to follow through. It's not easy to follow through.
I'll say this to you.
God.
I'll say that the majority of folks, probably will listen to this, and the idea of them having a renewed mind associated with baptism is like, oh, you know what? That's actually the way it should be. It's not just about getting dunked. The actual idea of, facing east and stuff like that, praying 5 times. He's giving the numbers because folks wasn't following or wasn't going into themselves, spending time with
You're
themselves.
saying they separate the principles and the habits. The
Yes,
habits.
exactly.
I understand
Yes,
what you.
yes.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case. But I disagree with that. I don't think it's the case that people do those habits with the intent to follow those principles because they think those habits will lead to
Yes,
principles.
just like the kid on the corner, he's gonna pull up his
But
pants.
that's a fashion-
Wait.
All right.
Just like the kid, because he pull up his pants, and tie his belt, but he's still the kid. But now, who's gonna think? Are we going this hard on fashion statements?
If a kid pulls up, if the kid,
Do we care that much about fashion
if
statements?
a kid has the gall to go to in his neighborhood, everybody's wearing sagging pants, and he has the gall to actually pull his pants up, that shows more than him absolving him. That shows he has personal character. He's not afraid of being ridiculed or ostracized. So it does show. It shows a lot. It does show a lot for the kid because he has a potential to be alienated.
I have a son.
We went left.
I have a son, and my son is not allowed to sag. He has to pick his pants up. And go ahead.
I have 2 sons, and I don't even had the conversation with them at all.
Yeah, because they
You never had
probably-
the conversation
no.
with them.
Where do they live?
Respectfully, Doc.
Do they live around people who
Respectfully.
sag?
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But still,
That's a different.
But
No,
but this is also my argument is that to say that if you go down to Soho, where the fashion capital of New York, right? There is no demographic of a person that sag. Everyone is sagging. They're sagging in their Adidas pants. They're sagging in their Maury pants. They're sagging in their Levi's. They're sagging in their shorts, their sweats. Everyone seems to be doing it in certain fashion, high fashion areas. The skinny jeans are sagging. It's just not like a hood or ghetto thing. It's not. But there is courage that it does take not to sag. And I tell my son that, you're going to be the kid who don't sag. I'm sorry, dude. But let me also say this. You guys know I was, where I got my GED, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a GED. We got college. We got a life of college here. This guy's been in school the whole 20, 30 years I know him. And it's like, for me, where I got my GED, is it anecdotal? Am I speaking from my own experiences? But let me just say this. That concept that that style came from a jail style and that it represented who was the feminine in the jail and who was not. Let's just say I was there and it's all propaganda. That's not true. the most gangsterous guys in prison all sagged. They were the saggers, the ones that had their pants, they had their jail outfits
Three
sagging.
Actors Guild Award.
Yeah, they was the straight saggers. They all sagged, and they were tough as hell. Like as far as reputation is concerned, you know, I never sagged while I was there though. I didn't. It wasn't because I was in fear of any booty bandits, because I was, one of the toughest people that were there at that time. I'd strive to be extremely, fit and in shape, and then I had that boxing career before I got there, and I was a tough guy, big time tough guy, and I have to tell you that all the stuff I always heard throughout the years, that what it represented was so not true. It was never true. It was always a group of guys that sagged, and that's just the way it was. It started out with like a Brooklyn thing, and then maybe a Staten Island thing. Staten Island guys were known to sag, and so were Brooklyn guys were known to sag. And I was uptown. I was a Harlem guy, so I wasn't. In my day, we didn't sag like that, and if we did, it's only because we wore maybe 2 pair of pants. We had, we were so fly, we had 2 of them, we had 2 pair of pants on, kind of a thing. It was like that.
I'm so glad that she said that. It's
done.
like, because and these, we talk about, we talk about there's like a reality for everybody and stuff, and you hear these different stories. So you have the guy who's trying to chastise the whole situation, and he talks about that it came from, from the penitentiary system, and guys used to sag, it's supposed to mean this and that. Then you have another guy, the D-boy, he talks about, well, I'm sagging because I got all the drugs and stuff in my pocket, and it's my shit down.
My pockets are so fat,
And then you have the poverty thing, it's like, I have to wear my big brother's clothes. So
Can't
I
afford
started
a
sagging.
belt,
So I always, got used to my pants sagging, so I used to like that. Another person just like, I think I want to feel relaxed. I don't want to feel cramped up and quitched, so it's like, and that's the reason I used to wear baggy pants,
Up until only a few years ago.
so but yeah.
I always take credit for everything.
I'm not trying to take credit for that. I just know that I had let them know that if you come out with those baggy jeans again, I'm gonna put you in the fucking headlock. We're gonna have a real fight, like we're enemies. I'm not hanging with no baggy jean guy, and it's 2012. I was
Keep
like,
going, Doc. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Doc was wearing, like, this dude got a 36-inch waist wearing a 42. Are you crazy?
Smaller than 36.
No, it wasn't
I
a
mean,
42. Maybe it was a 30.
Don't listen
get
to
you.
me.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. All right, so now Don Lemon also talks about
He talked a bunch of stuff.
using
Wow.
the N-word. Let's skip past the N-word.
Oh, wait. I had an epiphany on the train randomly.
All right, which train?
I was going on the
Wait, is this on topic?
Yeah.
All right,
It's
go
about the N-word.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, go for it.
All right. And I realized that the N-word, the N-word doesn't make me angry or piss me off in any way any more than the B word. I realized something. If a white woman called me the N-word, I'd be offended, and I'd probably have to do something just to save face. But if
When you say do something, you mean like react in a
I'll just react
like
in some
verbally.
kind of way. Yeah. But in the B word, I don't know. I was thinking about it on the train, and I would feel like in anger, or I was even angry just thinking about the potential of
a person calling you the B word as a man.
Yeah, then
no.
call me the N word, which is odd. And Don Lemon spoke about using the N-word about it. N-word has turned into a magic word. N-word is not even, it's a fake, define, what's a nigger mean? Define it. It doesn't even mean it. It has no definition. But it's a magic word in which anytime a white person says the N-word in a conversation, they can stop the room. It's literally magical. But there's nothing, there's nothing, there's no definition, there's no meaning, there's no strength to it. All I know is I'm compelled to act if someone says it around me who's not black. And so what he's saying about black people...
What compels you?
Well, you're being
You say you
You
compelled
being
to act.
trained.
I'm
You being
compelled to
trained
I'm compelled to act because I know what makes me genuinely. I'd be shocked. I'd always be shocked that say I don't know. I'm using women because it's only relevant in the B word thing. So say a white woman called me the N word, I'd be almost taken aback. I wouldn't even know how to. I'd be like, hey, this woman has some balls almost. But if she called me the B word, I'd immediately see red. I know I'd immediately see red.
Normally, people
So
don't care about that.
yeah.
See, that's a more real thing. But you know,
That's what I'm saying. It became magical. There's
Exactly.
something. It compels me. It makes me think. Oh shoot, I got it. Because I'd almost be shocked that she has a
Because
balls.
We're not going to get into the subject too long. We've talked about this word and we've
Yeah,
talked
yeah, we
about
had a
this
previous
subject.
episode.
We had a previous episode. If I was a better YouTuber, boom, it'll pop up right here somewhere.
I think
over
it's the
there, down
N word.
here.
It's saying the N word. Okay.
Maybe I'll put it in the description.
Yeah,
That's
it's in
what
the
I'll do.
description,
I'll
yeah.
put it in the description. We can talk about what happens with the N word. I know I've had my experience with someone that's called me that, and the way I've reacted, I think it's something that's deep inside of a person and how you take it. Like I don't want to be called that by a person, like in a negative way with a hard ER. And I've had that happen to me, and it's affected me in a very, very, very deep way. Whereas I can refer to you that as my boy and my homie, and my friend is that. I don't know if I've done that. I'm sure.
I don't think you ever.
I'll never be like, yo, Rick, my N word. I don't think I've done that with
yeah.
you. The doc, we know each other a lot of years. I'm sure we went through stages where
I've never heard
we
you-
only
I've never
said the
heard you
N word
use it
to
ever.
each other.
I've never heard you use it ever.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You guys are not friends.
But the only reason, no, I'm saying even amongst, but the only reason I said, but it's relevant because Don Lemon, he thinks that it will elevate black people, and it's similar to
Elevate them in what way? To not say
No,
it?
he's saying 5 rules, but he prefaced it 5 things that would. I'm paraphrasing, using the word elevation to some extent, but that would help the black community. And one of them was the sagging the pants and the non-use of the N-word, which is, it's funny. These are Bill Cosby talking points. From
Exactly.
from This
is the same
This
thing
is
that-
somebody he would
Yes.
trash openly.
Yeah. So then the next step is, let's go to the next one, which is we have the sagging of the pants, we have the N-word, and we also have the littering. To not litter
That's
in your
racist.
neighborhood.
That is so racist that he associated that.
Who's he talking to though?
He's talking. He's talking
talking
about
to
poor
black-
neighbor. He's talking about poor neighborhoods. Poor neighborhoods and black neighborhoods should not always be synonymous because I feel like that's racist in and of itself. I think there are a lot of
Even
poor-
though through redlining, all poor neighborhoods are black neighborhoods, Rick. And
that's
that
not.
was-
That's literally
that
not
was
true.
done on purpose.
That's
And
literally
aside
not
from
true.
That was done on purpose.
That literally can be. That's literally not-
Redlining.
I work in the poorest non-black neighborhood there is in freaking.
No.
Flushing.
I know that, and let me tell you this about that group of people. They're very, very dirty. There are 3 groups of people in New York that are dirty, and they go like this. They open up a piece of chewing gum, right?
You about to get them down to another
And
group of
they
people
throw
there.
they put the chewing
Take
gum in
that
their
back.
mouth. No, I'm telling you the truth. You know me, I'm a New Yorker, big time. I'm all over this city, heavy.
I don't think there's
And let me
any
tell
group
you
of
this.
people that's dirty.
There are groups of people that are very nasty and very dirty, and there are 3 of them. And the number one is the Chinese.
What are you talking, bro?
The number 2, that's number
I
1.
listen. I don't condone anything
Number
he
2
says. I don't
is-
believe. I don't
Number
believe
2
that
is
person.
is the black and Latin. Like when I say Latin, I'm saying Puerto Rican, Dominican.
I don't
That's-
confirm anything.
That's black,
that
Puerto
he's
Rican,
saying.
Dominican. They together as number 2. Number 3 is the small hats. You ever go to Williamsburg or
I'm gonna
any
take a peek.
community? It's filthy. This is a fact. This is a fact. These are the 3 neighborhoods in New York City that are the dirtiest. That they take their chewing gum and they don't take the paper and roll it up and put the chewing gum paper. You're supposed to open up the chewing gum and you're supposed to take the paper and put it in your pocket so that when the chewing gum runs out of flavor, you take that paper and you put the chewing gum in the paper. They don't do that in the Chinese. That's a fact. Chinese community, ride down 5th Avenue in Brooklyn. Go to 60 between 40th and 90th Street on 4th Avenue, 5th Avenue, 6th Avenue, 7th Avenue in Brooklyn. So that we're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. 50 blocks this way and 4 blocks this way. Filthy. We're talking about the streets need to be power washed. The businesses do not care. The rats are out of control in the Chinese community on those streets I just told you. Williamsburg. The whole entire Williamsburg, I don't care what you say, it's filthy, nasty, disgusting, it needs to be power washed.
All right, so
The
you
black-
can say the neighborhoods are dirty, not the people are dirty.
These are the people that live in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, but that's not indicative. The motherfucker, I wouldn't say black people.
No
motherfuckers,
cursing.
I wouldn't-
Try not to curse. Try
I
not
wouldn't
to
say
curse.
black
Come on.
people are dirty, but there are a lot of neighborhoods that.
No, I'm talking about the person that has a bag of Doritos in their hand. And when they finish the bag of Doritos, they drop the bag of Dorito, empty bag into the streets. Chinese, black, Dominican, Puerto Rican, and then Jew.
Yeah, but you know
That's
what
a
that is?
fact.
No, but you know what it is? That's a broken window thing. So in
Whatever,
other words-
whatever
in other
it
words,
is,
the littering-
it is what
if
it
you
is.
If you live in a neighborhood where there's litter there's litter in constant and like almost every other corner, you'd be less incentivized to think, okay, I'm gonna hold this for a little bit more if I throw it out.
Of
You know,
course.
yeah, but that's
Of
indicative.
course.
But that's
I
not
know,
indicative
of
of the people.
course,
That's
of
indicative
course.
of the neighborhoods that they're in.
But let me
That's-
tell
it's
you
not
this.
cultural.
Let me tell you
There's
this.
nothing cultural about in Chinese that says be filthy. There's nothing cultural in Black and Latino that says be filthy. There's nothing cultural that says any of those things. These are.
I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that these people, the Chinese, the black, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and then Jew in New York City, wherever you got that community
That's because they're
popping.
they're in crappy neighborhoods.
No.
Not forget the place. I don't want to say
Let
place.
me just say this to you.
But
Let me
they're
say this
in
to
crappy
you. The
neighborhoods.
South Americans and the Mexicans and the Ecuadorians, those 3 groups. South American, we talking about that whole, all the way down Brazil, all that. Dude, they live 2 blocks away from the Chinese. Their blocks are spotless. The Mexicans in Brooklyn, from 3rd Avenue, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th Avenues, from 20th Street to 110th Street, there ain't a garbage on the floor. The streets are spotless. You go 2 blocks up to the Chinese, it's like a bomb went off. So Don Lemon don't know what he's talking about. This is a fact. He's a fact. I gave you streets. Come on, Ulrich. You got. What are we doing over here? All right. All right.
Listen,
I don't need you getting up. Don't get up no more.
I'm gonna do it.
It's not. Wait till let me do a clip and then you can run when we do the clip. All right. All right.
I'm gonna get up again.
Let me just do a clip first. So Don Lemon is trying to talk to this huge white audience on CNN about what black people need to be doing, like cleaning up their neighborhoods. There's a ton of people like this. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. There's a group of people that they take duct tape and they pull it out of the drawer to fix tiles on their floor, to cover up a hole where the mouse is at, to fix the lampshade, to fix the lamp. The door is making a weird sound. They did a whole movie where the guy was telling his girl, like the Greek, my big fat Greek wedding, where the grandfather was saying, just put Windex on it. So if you had a bump or bruise or there's a broken clock, spray Windex on it. There's a whole mentality of people that are not going to look. The garbage is right on the corner.
I'm gonna shut it. Listen,
garbage is right on the corner.
Right now.
They're
I'm
not
gonna shut
dumping
that.
it.
I'm gonna shut that what she's saying immediately. So I lived in the apartment I lived in Brooklyn. You remember that?
Yeah.
In Bed-Stuy.
Right.
So a lot of the times in the front of our building is where our trash was placed, which is a little unique. So
Right.
a lot of the times our trash would just build up randomly. But that wasn't but the culture, the people who lived there were almost implants. They were like people from here, like from
They were
a lot of people
Caribbean.
from No. When I say implants, they were from actually a lot of whites and Asian people. A lot of whites and Asians, not necessarily Chinese, but whites and Asians people lived in our building, and they were from like all over the place, San Francisco, what have you. But but our building looked in the front of our building especially looked absolutely crappy. You had
the
but
worst
the
building on the
reasons
block.
were we did have the worst.
We had the worst
Everybody else
building on
was
the block.
nice brownstones. We had the
All
worst building
nice
on the block.
brownstones. Everyone swept up in front of their brownstones, but yours
But
was not like
guess
that.
what? That had nothing to do with the culture of the building. That had to do with the building owners. So what happened is the building owners would not call for their trash. Would not call to have their trash removed because I guess I don't know if they stopped dealing with the
They didn't have a
public
super-
thing.
they didn't have a
no,
super,
no.
right?
They wanted to save money. Yeah, they didn't have a superintendent.
That's what
either.
it was.
But in order to they'd save money, they would do all kinds of things to save face. I'm not going to say what the culture of these people were, is that perpetuated stereotype. But
Is it one of those three?
it is one of those three, but that doesn't mean that one of those three are dirty. That just means that someone can see our building, could see how our building was, and think that people living in those buildings were disgusting, dirty people. And all those people were that you go into the apartments now.
Oh, I forgot one more group. The gypsies.
Yeah,
Wherever you find you gypsies, you're gonna find trash everywhere.
I cannot confirm
We
or deny that.
we were
I can't
staying.
confirm
What was that hotel we were staying in? A 2-star, 3-star hotel up there in what's that? At the Element Hotel. My family and I, because I'm a bit of a nomad and a prepper and all that kind of stuff. So my family, we moved to a hotel. We did the hotel life for like 2 years, and one of the years we spent 11 months at this one particular hotel, which was the Element Hotel. The Element Hotel, one of the main reasons why we left the hotel was because a group of gypsies moved in. We're talking about, when I say moved in, we're talking about 40 or 50 gypsies moved in. Changed the whole dynamic. The place lost its rating. It lost its rating, dude. They got so many complaints. I would be in the elevator with these gypsies, watching them snack on their big long sleeves of candy that they got or stole from the Target around the corner, and they would just drop it right on the floor. And I would say, "Yo, you're not gonna pick that up?" And they go, "What?" The hallways was riddled. They would run from room to room, and you would see the carpeting from the dirty feet going back and forth from room to room.
Can I interrupt
These are-
his racism with
That's
these
not
messages?
racism.
I was about to say.
No, that's not racism.
I was going to ask, is this an objective view or is it slightly tainted?
Thank you, Dad.
No,
Thank you.
and let me tell you, and they always dripping in Gucci. They all had Gucci. All the kids had gold chains, Rolex watches, Gucci's, and you know what they were driving downstairs? All of them were driving brand new
Anyways.
cars. All of them.
Anyways,
So
all
that's
right,
two
no, wait.
brand new
No, I
cars.
need to make the
You
point.
know
The
why I
whole.
asked that, right?
All right, go ahead.
But I was about to say, well, you know why I asked that? Is one of the things that he said how you preface, the candy bar.
Right?
Yeah, what about it? Tell me. I don't need candy bars.
No, come on, there. What candy sleeve they had? He said they probably got it from where the
Target, where they stole it.
Yeah, really?
When they stole it.
Really
Well,
racist?
they got the Gucci, they got the.
We're not, listen.
No, but they
Listen.
con, you know that these are condoms.
In premium
They-
black news,
Dude,
listen, we have different opinions. Some are
Yeah.
racist, some aren't. I'm not.
This is not racist. This is observant. This is observant. This is not
I'm not one of
anecdotal.
those
This is
people.
their whole. This is the way they get down. Let me tell you something. They don't beat their kids. First of all, those little boys are men from like not 13 years old, from 10, 9 years old. They are men, and the women talk to those boys like they're men. Respect them. These kids will slap their mamas in the face. These boys, they ain't having it. Yo, I spent months with this group of people. And let me tell you, this group of people are what Don Lemon is talking about. He ain't talking about me. He ain't talking about
so
me, the
you're Don
individual.
Lemon. That
No.
means you think like Don Lemon.
No, what I'm saying is that he's trying to say this is what the black community needs, and I'm trying to say we're all humans. And there's groups of people in this humanity that are nastier than other people. Yes.
No. You're also about to. Listen. The reason I made that point earlier when I was talking about that building I lived in Brooklyn, that was more disheveled than the other ones on the
I remember
block.
you had the
was
worst
because we
building
had
on
a
the block.
different building owner.
It was owned by a Jew who refused to get.
All right, see, I didn't mention this thing. Anyway,
But he refused to get a
that's moot
super.
point. That's a moot
If
point.
your building had a super, it would have been beautiful.
The point I'm making is some buildings and how people live can be influenced by the administration of the people over them, relative than the people. Or do any the Dominicans or black owns the buildings that they live in?
No.
Oh, right then.
No,
So what?
it's-
But
it's okay.
that's my point. So it's not indicative but it's not indicative.
There's a decent point with
No.
that. I have to.
Why is what I'm saying racist?
No, well,
Yeah. Why is that racist? I left.
you want to walk it back? You want to walk it
I
back?
was saying, yo, dude, I left the hotel. I couldn't do it. No, they would leave. Yo, dude,
favorite
it got so bad that the people that owned the hotel was refusing to let them in because the workers were quitting because there was so much dirt. Yo, dude, you have no idea what I'm.
But that's not indicative of their culture.
It is.
They just happen to be poor. No, there happen to be poor people living
They
in the
weren't
community.
poor. They were driving big cars, all Gucci out, running around scamming the whole upstate New York. That's what they were doing, and everything was.
Why would they have to scam if they could buy Gucci? I don't understand. If they had to,
Wait,
if they had
you
to
think
make
people
it-
with jobs are buying Gucci?
What I'm saying, but the point of making it, clearly they
You
weren't
think
as
people with a
successful.
job
They
gets
weren't as
Gucci?
successful as you're painting them out to be if they had to take these shortcuts that you're alluding to.
It was so bad that they was trying to make them pay with a credit card. They was changing the whole fucking policy of the hotel. They wouldn't accept cash to get rid of them because they always cash people. Cash, they would get, and they all ate pork too. That was the crazy part. I used to be like, isn't this pork? And they were like, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No, and let me put you on to one of their scams, just in case you
Who's
out there.
there? What do you mean
The
there?
gypsy scam.
Listen.
This is
listen,
the gypsy
listen.
scam.
You're talking about an individual.
You don't know about
gypsy you met.
gypsies. No. We talking about the whole group of gypsies. This is the whole family, the whole crew of them. Look, this is what they do. They got the big gold chain and they got the Rolex watch.
Are you watching like Shaws of Sunset? I'm telling you.
No.
You talking about a gypsy reality show?
No. So now, pay attention. Look.
I'm
You see,
listening.
pay attention. So listen to this. This is what they do. They got the big Suburban, the brand new Suburban, paid for, not leased, because they can't lease nothing. So they getting people to buy. These things are bought, paid. No bank owns this thing. These guys, right? So they got the big Escalade. They spent $80,000 on the Escalade, $90,000, cash money. Catch me if you can, government. They don't care. It ain't stolen. It's theirs. So now they park it right off of a ramp. And then they'll be standing out there with the two kids, the wife, and the husband. And they'll be flagging you down. So when you pull over, because you see a big, beautiful car and a family outside, so you're like, yo, what's going on? So that's when they say, yo, I ran out of gas. I'm having problems. I need to get to wherever I need to get to. Hold on to this chain for me. Here, put this chain. You hold that chain for me. Hold this watch for me. Let me get $100 and I'll buy it all back from you. It's real corny cons, but they're doing it all day long. They're making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a day. Some people feel so bad that they're giving them hundreds of dollars to get them out of, because people like to help people with money. People like to help, and all their kids are in Gucci from head to toe.
I agree with that. I agree with that point that people like to help people with money. That doesn't mean it's indicative of gypsies who run this con on a regular
No, I'm just saying,
basis.
in this area, the gypsies, this is how they run it. They're all over Long Island. They're all over Queens. You see, you're not a driver. You don't see this. I see this everywhere, and I'm all over the city. I'm putting in, no exaggeration, 1,000 miles a week in my car, driving up and down this town. I know which ones are dirty and which ones are clean. Okay? And I know which ones, like the black neighborhoods, there's no garbage cans on the corner, but the other neighborhoods, there are garbage cans and they still won't use it.
That doesn't mean clean. Japan is one of the cleanest places on earth. Japan rarely has any trash cans for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. Right. So having trash can in the neighborhood doesn't make you the more incentivized.
There's no dirty Japanese neighborhood in New York.
It's a cultural thing. My point is,
and they got a Japanese community here in Brooklyn, and it's spotless. 7 blocks away, it's disgusting, and they're Chinese. And that's just the reality. There's nothing wrong with that.
but it's not the. I don't think it's a Chinese thing. I don't think it's a.
So now let's talk about what Darwin said after. I'm here for it. So listen.
Because Chinese people, imagine there was 3 Chinese dudes here.
Right.
There was a premium Chinese news, Premium Chinese Years was talking about how black people, all the black places they go, it's always dirty, and they make a conclusion about black people.
People do that
You
all
know
the
what?
time.
They do that all the time.
How do you
Don
feel?
Lemon just did it.
Yeah, but what do we think about Don Lemon's
I don't think a
intelligence?
Chinese
What do we think
person
about
would say
Don-
that.
What do we think about Don Lemon's intelligence? Do we respect his intelligence?
We just think it's
Do we
inexcusable that he do that.
respect? Do we respect
I
Don
never, I
Lemon?
never
Do
thought
we
about it. I
respect?
never thought about it
Oh,
in
now
that
you know.
context. I always thought he just reading the teleprompter.
See, you're not scared of Chinese people. You're scared of Don Lemon.
Well, let me ask you this: do any of you guys have Chinese people as your friends?
There's a lot of Chinese people. No, it has nothing. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
What you doing on
But
the
I'm
different
saying, even from pure observation, there's no in the neighborhood is pretty. It's not the greatest neighborhood.
You
And
go,
there's some-
you
but
go
it's
to where his
indicative-
work.
it's in-
By the way, I pick up Ulrich and bring him here.
Yes,
Okay?
this is true.
And
This
when
is
I'm
true.
over there, I have to dodge the bags of garbage. On
This
the
is
block.
true, but that's indicative of the neighborhood, not of the people.
Really?
Yes.
I don't
What's the
know.
matter with
If
you?
the story says, I don't know.
Have you ever seen a clean black neighborhood?
The
Of
man.
course.
Okay, so all right, so it's but you said you're aware. So if you know that, have you seen a clean Chinese neighborhood?
No, I seen a clean black neighborhood, and the one dirty house was yours.
I will pop.
Yeah.
First of all, talk about first of all. You talking about the Brooklyn place?
Yeah, the Brooklyn place. That was trash. It was trash.
Yeah, the Brooklyn place was
Yeah,
a one that not
and the
named
place
on
that you
there,
live
but-
in now that costs mad money to live in, they got abandoned cars right in front of your building.
Yeah, sure, well, it's not so much black, but I won't say where it is.
No, it's black, Dominican, and Puerto Rican neighborhoods.
No. It's Dominican.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm adding the Puerto Rican because it used to be Puerto
It
Rican
is
too.
straight Dominican.
It used to be Puerto Rican too.
It is straight
What I'm
Dominican.
trying to tell you
It's
is,
cool though. I don't have an issue with
Hey,
that.
I
think that
my point is this: if Don is going to talk about the black community needs to clean up behind themselves and then stop messing up the community, he needs to talk about all those other communities
No, stop
too.
talking about us as communities. Talking to us as individuals. As individuals, we need to stop being manipulated, believing there's a black narrative. That as individuals, if you talk to me as a black person, as a group, if you have any soul or have any problem, you're gonna tune out. If someone talks to you as you're a black man, listen to me. That's racist. You're not speaking to my principles. You're speaking to the color of my skin. Speak
Right,
to my
I agree.
principles.
I agree with that.
And you know what? You're absolutely right.
I agree
And
with
the
that.
thing is, that Don Lemon thing is something from 10 years ago. We were at a different point in time then. We're at a point in time
That's
then
what
where
10
we're at a different point in time then when the view of the average populace didn't think you were that smart. So this type of stuff would work. A thing like a Don Lemon talking down to you and stuff like they did that for
You
decades.
said 10 years ago?
Well, that's when that clip was from.
Now they don't think we're. You talk about black people?
No, I'm
You
talking
talk about how black people are sold to by the media. They think we're dumber than before. I think they were more subtle.
I
back
disagree with
10
you.
years ago.
every generation.
You think
but the
people
thing
think
is-
black people are dumber than they were before?
I think the way black people are being sold to today, they're twerking for Martin Luther King Day. They've convinced black people that makes sense.
No, that's all part of
What
the
do you-
thing.
but that-
That's only a small optic.
No, what I'm saying, but I'm making an example of that how they're selling. That would have been absurd
No, they are-
10 years ago.
No,
It would have been absurd 10 years ago.
They're
That's my
working.
point,
They're
yeah.
working on you to be dumber and dumber and dumber. But the means
Thank
in which
you.
they go about it have to change over time because what Don Lemon is doing, the average black person would look at that with a queer, like, what you doing, like, you know.
Yeah, but I
So-
don't think that
but I
he's
think-
trusted.
No, he's not because of those very things. But the thing
Not
now,
just 'cause he's-
but now is that same information is sold to you in a different way. It's sold to you and some random people that's on social media that gets a big following, and then they'll render that information, and that's how it be sold to the people now. You know,
Who goes on social media? This is
They-
all right.
we don't really have social media, but a lot of, I mean, that is the new TV now. That is the new big entertainment. You know?
Yeah.
What was the last thing he talked about? Neighborhood?
No, but I think the N word was the last thing you talked
The
about.
N-word?
We skipped to that. But we can.
Is that your face? Are you shocked or what?
Shit, Trump.
Don Lemon sounds like Trump.
Well, who that actually does sound like is a lot very reminiscent of Thomas Sowell. Yeah, it's the type of message you would hear from a black conservative
We
like
talk
a
about
Thomas
him
Sowell.
sometimes.
Thomas Sowell.
And it just, you never hear him talk
Anybody
like
used to
that.
read.
You know, I gotta go back. I'm sorry.
There you go.
No, I'm sorry. You see, my point in what I was saying is not to be racist. My
You can
point-
walk it back. Walk it back.
No,
walk it back.
my point. Listen. You see what it is?
We
Is
got
that
through that.
my point is always the same point. That we are all doing the same stuff. We are all doing the same stuff. None of us are unique in our own way. Are there? Let me also tell you this: living in hotels has taught me that there is a group of people that don't pick up behind their dogs. And I used to say really horrible things because I lived in Washington Heights for so long that I said that a Dominican only picks up behind their dog when a white man is looking or a white woman is looking.
Yeah, no one in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I live around there, and no one picks up in my neighborhood at
Right.
all.
Yeah, but there are
I can
groups.
confirm
There
that.
are groups of Dominicans that will pick up if a white man is looking.
I
If the
don't know.
white man is looking, they're all standing there. They go, "Let me pick up today."
You started this sentence with saying, I don't mean to be racist.
Yeah, but let me just say, no, I'm telling you how wrong I was about that. Because then when I moved out of the Element Hotel, I moved to I can't remember the name of this hotel, but this one was more like a campus. It had a private pool, private basketball court, and it had like playrooms. It was really, really cool, but it was done on an acre campus style property. And on this campus style property, you could bring your dogs. And the whole place was immaculate. We're talking about so beautiful. That's where I actually put together the dispensary. I have a trailer that I turned into a dispensary. And while staying at that hotel, I did all the construction on it with the solar panels and all that kind of stuff. And while there, it was there where I saw that it wasn't just the Dominican who didn't pick up after their dog. It wasn't just, it's everyone. No one picks up after their dog unless somebody's watching, if there's no one around. So you do see people picking up after their dogs and you thinking, oh, white people tend to pick up after their dogs. That's a lie. Because if nobody's looking, they ain't picking up that shit. And forget about partying the punt. And I watched them. They would actually have their dogs urinate on the most beautiful grass you ever seen. We were there 3 months because we were paid 3 months in advance. And when you pay 3 months in advance, you get a really good deal. And there's one particular 3 months we were there, the grass was yellow and stained. There were other people staying there too. And they had their animals there. And they would just let their animals just pee and poo on this beautiful, immaculate grass. And they were all Caucasians. It was absolutely disgusting. I used to actually confront people like, oh man, look at the grass, how burnt the grass is. It's so stained from all the dog's urine. Mind you, I'm at breakfast with them saying this, knowing that they were the one walking the dog last night, just to see what they're going to do. Like, oh, yeah, people need to do better. But it's true. Nobody wants to pick that stuff up unless they're being watched. So I was wrong for saying that about the Dominicans. But it is true. If there's a white person is on the block with them, they're gonna pick it up. But if if there's another Dominican, they don't care. They gonna keep on walking like, ooh, no, I'm not picking that up. So, because my kids would even tell people to pick up there. And when we was in Washington Heights, my kids used to tell people that, yo, you gonna pick that up? We would tell people that, yo, you're gonna pick that. My kids, how we raised them. I'm into cleaning your environment and caring about that. That's why I know and I see which communities are so disgusting because I'm aware of it. And let me tell you, up there in that hotel, 90% of the people didn't pick up after their dogs. And they burnt all the grass. It's just horrible. So that's what I mean. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm trying to say we all do the same stuff. And Don Lemon don't know what he's talking about. All right.
But Don Lemon that's not Don Lemon. You do understand that.
We disagree with that. I think that's Don Lemon, but he's being disingenuous. But he's being disingenuous with the understanding that I think he believes he has a tribe with him, and that tribe being was he a CNN guy. I think he thinks he has a tribe with him and they're going to be collectively disingenuous. But he agrees with them being collectively disingenuous.
We gotta watch. Go ahead.
However, I do think he hit certain talking points that are unique.
He's
than
reading the
his tribe.
teleprompter.
Yes.
No, I think
reading the
but
teleprompter.
I think he's allowed. I think he's nudged in a way that he's.
Oh, of course,
I
of
believe
course.
he's nudging in a way. Say, just be yourself. Just don't worry about what we think. Say something, even if it might sound like you're
That's what
on
they
their
say.
side.
That's what
I
they
think they
say.
say that. I think they try.
Everything is on the
No, I
teleprompter.
think they empower him in order to control
We
him.
hear that.
I think, that's what. So I do think he's controlled, but I don't think he believes he's controlled.
That's the story
Does
of
that make sense?
every single artist. Every single artist. I'm an artist. I'm unique.
No, Michael Jackson,
so on and so
Jackson,
forth.
Prince. Actually, they knew they were being controlled.
Okay,
Actually,
so
if
now
I'm
the
being
thing
real
is,
about that.
but the thing is, they all come
And
up
I
with,
only
you know,
like-
you have all your, and there's a big thing they used to use. You have your creative rights and stuff like that. Why this type of terminology come out that I have my own creative rights? I would think that you're making the song.
No,
But there's nudging. There's talk about this and that goes on. So this type of stuff that's we see all the time. So,
we can be here
what's different?
forever, yo.
Absolutely.
I hope we understand a little bit about some of the points that was being made. We talked about everything from hospitals tricking the doctors to just working their places, and we also heard about Don Lemon talking about a woman being not ready for running for president, whereas Hillary Clinton is like 70-something years old, and he has no problem with that. And Ulrich seems to believe that he's still that individual who gets a little nudge. I tend to believe that he's more of a sock puppet who's going to. The nudge is only for inspiration. Like, give me inspiration. Think about you.
No,
about
he
something.
thinks he's
Think
free.
about something
Don
that's gonna
Lemon
make you
thinks
sad.
he's free. Don Lemon thinks he's free. That's what he thinks he's free.
And you see, that's what you're gonna get with the Premium Black News Channel. You're gonna get a guy like me, a guy like him, and a guy like this. We're gonna get a doctor who spent a lot of time in school, who's doing his own thing, and we got a guy like Ulrich. He's an educator. You got a guy like me, who went and got his GED in a certain place, who can talk about where the pants sagging is all propaganda, and I never saw it like that. And
Sometimes you have to go to the top of the mountain to see that it's not up there.
Not too shabby.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
way. It's a good note to end on.
And then Morpheus would be up there and he'll be screaming at the people, for 100 years, overacting. 100 years.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about the Premium Black News Channel and how we're not being monetized, but yet we are open to being sponsored, and we're looking for a producer. And if you've gotten any value out of this, remember that this is a value for value show, which means that you hit the Cash App if you got any value out of this. You hit the Venmo if you got any value out of this, and that is $sign Elvis Rosenberg, one word, and at Elvis Rosenberg on the Venmo. Yeah.
Nice sweater.
It looks like a female shirt.
Stop it. That's not true. What are you talking about? That's so not true.
Let me see that.
That's
the
so not
elbow.
true.
It's like a long elbow.
Look at it. You're trolling me. You're trolling me, Doc. I know you're trolling me, but it's okay. Look how ridiculous.
Yo,
It's a long elbow.
can your pants
Look at
go
this.
up any higher?
Yeah,
That's
'cause
what I
I
wanna
don't
know.
sag.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
overly
sag.
don't sag.
I don't sag.
You're not. Your pants are so high. You're like trying to set a no sagging example.
Hey, man, I'm overcompensating.
You know what? You could do this and sell that thing for about $1,500. All to basketball players with teenage sons, because you know what? Because of the elbow, you don't know if he's going to go 6'2", 6'8", but he's going to catch the elbow.
Wait. What? Yo, we can have
Yeah.
no sag jeans. No
Yeah.
sag jeans that it's so tight around the waist that it just doesn't flop down. No sag jeans. Premium Black News. No sag jeans.
That sounds
And-
like Renaissance from Martin.
NSJ. No sag jeans.
Renaissance.
Renaissance. There we go. Well,
Do you remember that?
no, I don't. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
From the Martin Lawrence
I
show.
never watched Martin. I liked a lot of I was gonna say black shows.
Martin wasn't one of them.
Yeah, Martin definitely was not one of them.
Okay, well,
Martin was corny, man.
Yeah.
Black people don't get mad at me for saying that because
Nobody's mad at you for saying that you didn't,
You didn't like black shows.
Yeah, it's all right.
I love black shows. Son of a gun. I know. I watch more black shows than you, Doc.
Well, all I can do is say thank you to everyone that's here. Peter Griffin is here. LJ's here. Who else is here?
What's up,
Christopher
LJ?
Perkins is here.
What's up,
Steve
Chris?
is here. Steve Blackner is here.
Somebody asked what the acronyms meant for one of the very early on. What the
Ours is Premium Black News.
And the other one?
And the other one is the David Better Show.
Okay.
David Better. David Pete Better.
Wait, what the hell, y'all?
That's-
somebody said, what does PBD stand for? Whatever.
PBD is the guy who does his podcast. I'm gonna put it all in the
Script.
Yeah. Christopher Perkins, T. Riddler, what's up,
What's up,
buddy?
T. Riddler?
And then we have somebody that's Connie Hilfiger. Is that?
We wear surgery shoe covers over our socks in the house.
We don't know at what point did that came in. That's why I'm not even. We got a Greg
Oh,
Mack. Greg Mack.
All
We
right.
got T. Riddler again. Christopher Perkins. Thank you.
Being neat.
All right.
Big Elvis and Chef Rosenberg, we're here. 3 different perspectives. These are called, and the perspectives are objective perspectives. One in which you're not going to get to quite this, I'm the guy who's like yelling and screaming about, which neighborhoods are disgusting. And it ain't the black ones. They're on the top of the list. That's a fact. You can walk down 125th Street, accidentally drop your bagel, and you can pick it up with the whole 1 second rule. Don't do that on 5th Avenue and 60th Street.
And Ulrich is the one that says that, it depends on who owns the building and they're responsible for it. So it's not the actual people.
There's just more to it. There's multiple factors rather than a singular cultural fact that makes it. Also, my titties are perturbed in this outfit.
And I say it's all scary.
Well, it's not. It's the way the outfit is called ribbed, bro. All right? It's a whole pattern. A whole pattern had to be made for this shirt, dude. You're wearing a $400 shirt,
It's fly. It's fly. Look, it's
Come
fly.
on.
It's fly. It's fly. It's fly.
I had to.
If we ever get big, I can sell this. This is the episode. Was it 70 something? With the Ulrich cop shirt.
Well, yeah. I love you guys. Come on. You don't know that, right? Are we clear on this? We're clear. You all
It's too
appreciate
soon.
it.
It's too soon for me. But I don't like y'all so far.